Hello everyone. Welcome everyone properly and officially to this chat. PayPal, our amazing friends over at PayPal, is sponsoring a series of live events to bring together small business owners from around the world to learn from each other, which I have already done with Jeremy, and I'm so stoked to have him back. I'm very thrilled to be hosting. This is the first of those conversations, and I'm chatting with the wonderful Jeremy Fleming, who has just joined us, co-founder and director from Stagekings turned ISO Kings. We chatted a few months ago for the incredible project that I've been able to work on with PayPal this year, the Adaptables podcast, on small businesses making big pivots during this pandemic. So it's wonderful to see you again, Jeremy. I hear you've pivoted even more since the last time we've spoken.
Yeah, really great to see you again, Sarah. And nice to chat again. And it's still going. That's right.
Oh my gosh, I feel like an entrepreneur's pivot is never over.
No, that's right.
So if you guys aren't already familiar, you might have listened already to Jeremy's episode of the Adaptables in season 1, but just in case you haven't, as a quick recap, Stagekings is a theatrical set building company based in Kurnell in Sydney's south, which Jeremy founded with his lovely wife Tabitha 5 years ago. And like so many businesses, of course, the outbreak of COVID-19 brought the event industry completely to a halt, which of course resulted in a lot of panic and the halt of Jeremy's income and livelihood. But Stagekings has been able to very quickly pivot and use their technical skills to tap into a whole new market and really make the most of a difficult situation. So Jeremy, I'm so excited to dive into this with you again. Just quickly run everyone through the story. But first, let's go back to the beginning, because that's the bit that is the most intimidating and overwhelming. And I think that taking it back to where it all began is gives other aspiring business owners reassurance that everyone started somewhere. So how did Stagekings come into the world?
So it was almost 5 years to the day before COVID hit here in Australia. So we started Stagekings with the aim of bringing decorated structures to the Australian market. I'd worked in Europe for some time, and I'd met a lot of people over there, and seeing the way that they did shows over there, like Tomorrowland and Wish Festival, and so many more over there and throughout the States. We wanted to bring something like that to Australia. There was a lot of events, and we wanted to bring that real theatrical set design and build so that it's more of an experience for people to go to the shows.
I think it's one of those things that we all take for granted. We all turn up at things like big festivals and see all the sets, but forget that a person actually had to make that and bring it to life for it to exist. It's so amazing that you fell into that niche. How did you actually take your very first steps to build the idea? You obviously saw a gap in the market. I think you had a friend overseas who was doing something
Correct.
similar. How do you go from nil to something, from idea on paper to actually fully executed business?
We did. I first started Stagekings with a couple of Dutch partners who were very involved in that industry over there. After 12 months, we went our separate ways, and my wife and I continued with Stagekings here in Australia, and that was that's how that grew, and very quickly we came to become one of the the go-to people for that kind of structure in Australia. And within a very short space of time, we were doing big structures for the NRL and the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony and the pop-up Globe Theatre and some really interesting stuff. We got a pretty good reputation pretty quickly.
You've worked on some amazing things. I think you even built the Ninja Warriors set. Was that you?
Yeah, we've done that for the last 2 years, and that's one of our great jobs. And it's getting ready for season 5 shortly.
Oh my gosh, it's like life in a playground. How exciting.
It is. It really is like that, yeah.
But of course, 2020 has been quite the adventure, and everyone has really had to adapt and shift sometimes their entire offering, like yourself, obviously, with events all closing down and dealing with difficult times in their own way. And of course, the Adaptables is a platform where we've been able to share a lot of those stories and remind people that the quote I always love is, beautiful new beginnings often come from painful or often are disguised as painful endings. So while, there was obviously a lot of panic panic and what seems like the end, it actually very quickly turned to a pivot, and you went from reactive to proactive and were able to turn that into an incredible new chapter. So take us through that first moment when your industry shut down. Obviously, there was so much panic, but when did you shift that to action? How did you actually convert those emotions to, we are going to not just survive this, but thrive?
Yeah, look, being a family business. The day that they put the ban on public gatherings, Friday the 13th of March, crazy day.
Forever etched in our memories.
Absolutely, it was a sheer panic for that first day. We really saw that all of our income was gone. The industry was shut down. 500,000 event workers out of work, and with no end in sight. And we were hit very hard by that. We've got a very core team of people that we were facing down the barrel of having to let go. It was really quite horrifying. And my wife and I, being a small family business, we were risking losing everything, our house, and it looked that we were going to have to potentially move to my parents' house up on the North Queensland. And it was a really horrible moment that we didn't dwell on that for very long though. That night was horrific. And then we really started to think, what could we do to get through this? And we came up with a bunch of ideas. We were always thinking, Tabitha and myself, and our head of production, Mick Jessup, who's also a key component to all of this, and we got planning and designing up some things, and hospital waiting facilities and testing areas, and none of that took off. But we luckily had the idea for work from home office furniture.
Oh my gosh. Also, I love how, I really try and encourage people to give themselves the emotional space to process the panic and the pain, and then allow yourself to move through to action, when it's the right time. And you're like, yeah, 24 hours. What? Overnight? Like, yeah, I dwelled for like 1 minute, and then I had a business idea the next day. But I think one thing 2020 has really shown us is that while once upon a time we might have taken 5-10 year business plans to achieve these kind of changes, you can do them in such a short amount of time. So while you might have thought that moving to office furniture is such a big such a hugely different product and industry, actually your technical skills and infrastructure as a business was quite transferable. So how did you do it? How did you change your patterns and actually figure out how to make a desk? And I don't mean just one desk, but a desk that has sold tens of thousands. So it's clearly functional and beautiful and fills a gap in the market. How did you make your first desk and then convert that to tens of thousands?
Yeah, well, firstly, the idea, we were always looking for what other people were doing around the world, and what there was markets other than ours that have been affected prior to us. And so we were talking to people throughout Europe. It's a small industry, the event industry, and I was talking to a friend in Ireland who mentioned that they were looking at making a desk, and so that's what flicked the switch initially. And I spoke to Mick Jessup, our head of production, and said, Mick, we need to make a desk. We saw there was whole industries of people working from home now, and we saw that the Officeworks had no desks, and all of the major suppliers throughout the country had nothing available. A lot of them bring product from China, and it was a 18-week lead time on some of that. So we knew that there was a shortage in the market, and we knew that needed to be filled. And so Mick got planning very quickly. So Sunday morning we had that chat and had the idea. Mick got planning and designed up the stand-up desk, and working in with our Irish friends, the other one, and came in on Monday morning with these 3D prototypes of these two desks that were going to work perfectly, no tools, flat pack, and look great. And, like you said, very functional. And so that's what gave us, that's what started the desks, and they're still going very strong.
Oh my gosh, that is just simple. I still get goosebumps thinking about how you went from thinking you had nothing to now creating everything in a pivot that you might never have actually thought of or ever led yourself into, but that's worked out so well. I think a big part of that pivot psychologically, or in your sort of approach to doing business, is that you had to shift from really working as a B2B offering, like mainly working for other businesses who were creating you know, putting together big events, whereas now you're selling direct to consumers, which is actually quite a different thing. So how did you overcome the hurdles of changing your mindset so dramatically? Like, you're speaking to individuals now, you're not speaking to other big corporates. How did you make that shift? How did you make it okay for customers to accept that from you as well, when they'd never been communicated to like that before? And how did you change your offering? Like, you've never sold online to a single customer. How do you get trust and the right infrastructure to allow that kind of volume?
Yeah, so we did. It's completely new to us. So it's been a massive learning curve. And to start with, we had to come up with the platform to actually do the selling. And overnight, my wife Tabitha looked up YouTube and learned how to write an e-commerce site, and put that together. And we added that onto our website, and so that was our initial e-commerce site. And from there, it was retail and online marketing is a massive learning curve for us, completely new. And so we basically just said to people, we don't really know what we're doing. I wrote an open letter and said, this is what we're doing to try and keep our lights on and try to keep people busy. We don't know what we're doing. We've never really done, we've never done retail before, but this is what we're trying to do to keep alive throughout this time. And people really connected with that. The story resonated with people, and very quickly that initial post was seen by over 1 million people and shared 2,500 times, and it was mind-blowing, and it went from there. And we've always kept that really close engagement with our followers. We've got quite a lot of followers in a short time for a staging company, and there's that a really close communication. We've been asking people, okay, we've made desks now. What is it? What problems do you have? What is it that we can do to help you around the house? And so they're coming up with the suggestions. So the majority of our new products are coming from our customers. They're saying, oh, we need to tidy up around the house. We need a shoe rack, or we're getting sore backs from doing puzzles. We need an ergonomic puzzle board. So we make those things, and that's how that's how it progresses.
Jeremy, I need my whole house cleaned. I need you to come to my house and do that right now. But you mentioned the product expansion, and I definitely want to go into what you've been up to since the last time we talked, adding so many products to the range. But I think something that you mentioned that I have loved was hearing about how you wrote that open letter and you reached out to your customers and stakeholders to explain what you were doing, to explain that it was new, but also to start a trend or to set up the communication channel that you've now kept, and I imagine would keep post-COVID, of building your digital community and increasing your reach and embracing that online presence, which a lot of businesses find really intimidating if they've never had to go online before. And for you, it was your first time. So you're the perfect example of the fact that you don't have to have a degree in business online marketing to go online very quickly and do well. What other things in terms of getting online and embracing digital will you keep that you recommend for other businesses who are a bit hesitant to sort of make that jump?
I think it's all about just being open and honest, and really having that communication, not trying to tell people what it is they need, that they want. Let them tell you what they want, and then find a solution to their problems. And that's the key. And and if you mess up, tell them. We've changed our systems a few times now since we started. The e-commerce page has changed 3 times, and our delivery system and dispatch has changed at least 3 times. And every time we mess something up, I write a letter again and I say, look, you guys overwhelmed us by how many of these things you were going to order, and we're not going to be able to get them out as quickly as we said we could. Or there was a time there when deliveries drivers were completely overwhelmed, and it was taking over 5 days to get deliveries out. And so I just say to people, this is a problem, and but we're going to try and fix it.
Yeah, I think as long as people are aware and you can manage their expectations, people are so forgiving, particularly in a global pandemic. It's just reaching out and actually making sure you're keeping those communication channels open. I've just had a question from Door20A about sharing the details of ISO Kings and the desk website. I will absolutely put that in stories afterwards, but do you want to quickly just tell us what the website is?
Yeah, look, we're at Stagekings_AU on Instagram, and I apologise, we had a glitch just coming into this with that, but unbelievable. But Stagekings_AU, and we're at stagekings.com.au, and follow the link to the store in there that'll show you all of our 50 now plus products.
Okay, so let's jump into that. So it's now been a few months since the restrictions started to be really lifted. Can you talk through how you've gone from just randomly making a desk to expanding into, I mean, Christmas trees? Like, how has that happened? Has it been purely customer led?
Absolutely customer led. Yeah, someone, I can't remember what we put out, but someone said, "Oh, next, can you guys look at making a Christmas tree, a flat pack Christmas tree?" And we didn't think a lot of it to start with, but then over 1,000 people asked for a Christmas tree, and we went, "Oh, well, let's do that." So Mick's designed up a flat pack Christmas tree. It's absolutely amazing. Goes together in under a minute. And also a mini tabletop one. And so because of this following we've got now, we've made the tabletop one the 2020 version, and we're going to do a slightly different one every year. So it might become a bit of a collector's thing.
Amazing.
But there's been so many other things. That, like I said, a puzzle board. Cat towers was another crazy thing. You know, hundreds of people asked for a cat tower, so we made a cat tower, and that's quite amazing as well. Yeah, who would have thought?
Oh my God, you also have wine racks as well.
Wine racks,
all
industries. Shoe racks, bike racks, scooter racks, all those kinds of things. But we've also just done a deal with the local sporting association here, the NRL, and we're doing licensed NRL products, so desks with kids or people's favourite team on it, and yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is just absolutely incredible. Two things I pull from that is that everything happens in chapters. So done is better than perfect. Just get the product out there, and you might need to fix it a couple of times. Like you'll continuously get told what is perfect for the right time, and that will evolve as your business gets bigger. I love that you've just kind of put things out there and then are willing to take feedback, because a business owner's job is to be an adaptable and to adapt everything to continually meet people's needs. But that's also the fact that, coming back to that idea of beautiful new beginnings being disguised as painful endings, for a while there you thought you'd lose your house. And yet it's opened a door that has revealed to you that you can pivot into basically every industry you now have a product in that it touches. And I don't think you ever could have imagined when you first began Stagekings that this is the direction you would end up going in.
No, it's completely blown us away. And we, another reason I didn't mention before, part of what we've done from the get-go, we said if we're going to do any good out of this, we want to be able to give back. And like I mentioned, the event, there's over 500,000 event workers out of work. So we from the get-go, we pulled in as many out of work guys as we could from the industry, and they've been helping us to sand and deliver and package all of the products. And so we've really just tried to give back as much as we could along the way. So it's been a really amazing experience that the industry has even gotten behind to help us there. We've donated over $60,000 now to Support Act, who is they're the organisation that look after the event industry and people that somehow fall through the government safety net.
That is absolutely amazing. When we first spoke, I think you'd raised 10,000, which was already extraordinary. But to have now channeled back 60 grand into the industry that is suffering, for people who haven't been able to pivot, that is just such an incredible legacy to leave. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The big creative heart has just asked if you could share your Instagram handle so they can see the product. If you didn't hear just before, it's Stagekings_AU.
Yes.
Right.
Sorry for the glitch. It's definitely there.
Are there any products that you've made as part of this big pivot? I think this is a really interesting one, because we only see the ones that make it, we only see the ones that work. But part of experimenting is obviously, as a business owner, finding out things that don't work. Are there any that you built that were just didn't take off, or weren't functional, or just didn't make the cut? What are some of the things you tried that didn't really kind of go through,
they're absolutely. We've got prototypes laying all around the office, and we built this ginormous bike rack at one stage to hang bikes and park bikes, and it was just too much. So so that's sitting in the office. And earlier adaptations of some of the desks are there as well. That, you know, we made a couple, they wobble, and we got rid of that. And, you know, we've made mistakes along the way. And we made the stand-up desk on the first day. That was our first thing we made. And we realized after we maybe sent 250 of them out that some of them had a tendency to have a little wobble. So I said, look, guys, sorry, we did this so quickly. We probably could have done it better, but here's a piece that we've made to fix that. And so we then sent one of those pieces out to everyone that had bought the stand-up desk, and then we fixed that issue through there. So yeah, there's a lot of things didn't work well, and we left a lot on the table, but mistakes are part of it, and making those mistakes has allowed us to get to where we are, and to be as successful as it's been.
Totally. I have a little mantra in relation to mistakes or failure or setbacks, that you either win or you learn. So rather than labeling it as a failure, either you win and it goes how you wanted it to, or it doesn't go well, but you've learned a lesson. You don't learn when things go to plan. You know, you're just sitting in the comfort zone. But as soon as you trip up, that's when you have a chance for growth. We have another question from Hunter and Hom, or Hunter and Om. What were all the things you went through to get your product online and to people logistically? Because I think that's a big barrier. And often we think of the enormity of an online site and then get really overwhelmed, rather than thinking of the small individual steps of, like, take photos, put them on the site, get a payment gateway. You know, what were those individual steps for you?
Well, that's exactly it. We did the on the first day. So Sunday we had the idea. Monday we cut the prototypes. Tuesday morning we actually took photographs in the house here and got them onto this. Every photo is at our house. Pretty much. So, you know, we took those photos. Tabitha had written the e-commerce site the night before, and a big part of that was looking through. We wanted to do the things that we trusted ourselves. So we put on the payment options that we trust, and we put on the site that was going to be the easiest for us to do to start with, knowing that it probably wasn't the best option for the e-commerce site. But we did what was going to be the quickest and what was going to be the best for us at that stage, because we needed to move quickly. Had we not moved as quickly as we did, and we over analyzed and procrastinated for even a couple more weeks, I don't think we would have got the traction that we got. So that was what it was. So as far as the steps go, it was setting up the site and getting the photos done and on the site, and knowing what the products are, and then finding the price point. And we just we looked at this as another project and calculated it out like any other project we do. What's the cost of the materials? What's the cost of the labor? And what do we need to make a margin on that? And plus, also, we were giving the donation. So we added all that up, came up with a price and put it on. And then we put the letter out to social media, and that's what started it. And from those shares, that's how we got the traction. And 20,000 pieces of furniture later, we're still going.
That's amazing.
It's crazy, yes.
So it obviously wasn't an incredibly hard sell to convert people around to the idea. Iris just asked whether or not it was tough to, you know, get your people behind that pivot. And I think that's something we all get a little bit worried about when we've built a loyal community around one particular offering, and then we're suddenly like, oh, how are they going to respond? How did you manage that? I think you've obviously communicated it very clearly from the beginning. Did you have any sort of pushback at all?
Look, I think that the people that there's two types of people as well. I think there's our customers, and these are new. A lot of these were new people, so the event industry, and then, you know, they came on board and they shared, and so our customer base is all very new. We didn't more people know us now for furniture than they knew for staging. So that's all new. But also it's about getting our people on board, the people that had been working for us that we were having to lay off, that we then called up and said, hey, we've had an idea, we might need to get you back. And so we've now got our crew all back, and they've all learnt new things. We've got set builders that are now sanding desks, and we've got our head carpenter is now running dispatch. So completely different things to what they normally did or used to do. But they've just taken complete ownership of that as well. And like I said, this carpenter in dispatch has written these dispatch systems that are amazing. And so giving the people that bit of ownership, telling them this is what we're doing, and you know, what can we do to help, asking them that we've got full support of everyone. It's actually quite an amazingly positive place to be working, because otherwise there was no work.
Yeah, totally. And I think as another sort of aspect to Iris's question, something that I have found just through these conversations that really helps in a pivot and through talking to so many different people from this year, the more things you can do to keep as much familiarity as you can versus how much change is necessarily going on with all the pivots, you know, around you.
Yeah.
I found that having, like, not reinventing the wheel when you don't need to is really important. So having platforms like PayPal that already have trusted systems that people aren't going to hesitate to get their credit card out and put it online. If you've never taken an online payment from a customer before, of course they're going to be a little bit worried about what's happening with their money and the security issues. So being able to just, I think as a small business, turn to all the resources that exist already, that you just sign up, get verified, and suddenly you can offer it on your website. Like, you don't need to sort of build your own everything from scratch.
No, and it's such a quick and easy process. And like I mentioned, the likes of PayPal, we trust PayPal, and so we work with people we trust, and so we got that on board very quickly, and that's everyone else trusted as well. It was great.
Totally. So looking to the future now, obviously it's been a crazy, crazy year, and finally we're getting a little bit of breathing space to look ahead now, to instead of just sort of like treading water and making it to the next day, there's a little bit of space now to start to plan for 2021. Oh my gosh. What are you excited about for next year?
I'm really excited about Stagekings and King, and you know the furniture is still going very well. We've actually gone full circle and back to our friends in Ireland, and we've actually just done a deal with them now. And so King is now available throughout the UK through our partner in Flying Elephant in Ireland. So we're very excited about that, it's a really crazy, exciting time. 7 months ago, we never even thought of furniture, and now we're available throughout Europe as well as Australia. So that's one thing. And Stagekings as well is coming back. There's small events coming back on board, and we really can't wait for events to come back. And I feel that people need to be together and having these experiences together. And so hopefully that won't be too long as well, and we can run both businesses parallel or work through that.
I think something that has really stood out to me through your story is also just the alarming power of getting on the phone when you're having a tough situation. Like, call business partners, call friends, call other people who are like considered colleagues, even though we don't really have colleagues in small businesses. But getting on the phone to your friend in Ireland at the beginning, and your friend in like the EU when you first had the idea, like, those are the conversations that if you're teetering on the edge of an idea, they'll push you towards it. Or you could sit in your own self-doubt and convince yourself, oh, it's not going to work, I'm just not going to do it. So always reach out,
Always be on the phone, talking to people all the time. I'm always looking for ideas, and ideas are only as good as what you do with it as well. So it's getting ideas and actually doing something with that idea, and not just sitting thinking, oh, that's a good idea. Hopefully someone comes along to help me to do that. No, you got to get out there and do it, and make a start, learn along the way, and make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's how we learn and get to where we are.
I have a question as well about the fact that you do have so many ideas, and now you've seen that you can expand into cats and bikes and wine and pretty much anything. It's very hard, especially for business owners who like shiny things and like getting things done and going with every idea and innovation. How do you pace yourself? Because it's, we want to do it all at once. We're very instant gratuity based. I would want to, if I knew I had an audience that was receptive to all of those different products, I'd bring out one of everything. How do you pace yourself so you don't sink yourself too quickly by taking on so much? Yeah,
it's a great question, and we have moved very quick, and everyone that is around us says, "Gosh, you guys are always so moving so fast," and we do. But what the one benefit, and I don't like to say that, but one of the benefits of this time is that we've been able to get some of the best people from the event industry and working with us, and those guys just absolutely amazing. The event industry as a whole is so agile. Everything's always so different, and we've been able to get some amazing people on board. Even also like our customer service manager is a first-class flight attendant for Qantas. So, you know, there's some amazing people available at the moment, and we've got a lot of them in working for us, and we do move quick. We try something, and if it works, great, we'll push harder with that. And if it doesn't work, we'll very quickly drop it and move on to the next thing. And you know, it's we move quickly, but we've got an amazing team around us.
Amazing. Another interesting question about sort of going on into 2021. Anthony Chi asked if you'll eventually rebrand once we are 100% out of ISO, because ISO King obviously
Good question.
has ISO.
It's a good question. It's a good question, and we did think that. And look, people kind of know us as ISO King now, and I kind of figure a lot of names don't mean anything anyway, and it's kind of a bit of a reminder. I think we'll keep it.
I like that. It's a bit of a nod to how it was born and its beautiful story.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So before we wrap up, Jeremy, can you tell us a few of your biggest takeaways or practical pieces of advice for other business owners who have been through the ringer this year like you have, and who, you know, may be watching and are looking to make their own, you know, Stagekings, ISO Kings pivot?
Yeah. Look, I think I've touched on a couple of them already, but the key thing is to be open to ideas, to talking to people and trying to find your idea. There's a lot of people that are sitting around, like you say, you know, thinking, well, there's nothing I can do. I don't have a router. I can't go and make. You can do. And I think that if you do have an idea, to just make a start, have a go, back yourself, and really don't overthink. Obviously, do the numbers, make sure that works. We're lucky that with the furniture we make, if we don't sell it, we don't make it. You know, so that's the ideal scenario. And so I think if you push, you know, work through your ideas, get them going, and just make simple starts. Don't overcomplicate things. And you know, last time we talked about Jocko, a great hero of mine. You know, ex-Navy SEAL Jocko Willink, and he has an amazing book called Extreme Ownership, and it's about owning things. And if I can recommend everyone does one thing, it's watch a video on YouTube called Good by Jocko Willink, and it basically says that, you know, if things are going bad, think of the good that's going to come out of it. There's always something good. You might not see it immediately, but there's always going to be some good. So focus on that, and make simple steps. He was asked in an interview I was listening to once. He famously gets up 4:30 every morning and trains, you know, exercises. And someone said, "How do you get up at 4:30 every morning, Jock? I don't know how you do it." And he said, "I set the alarm, and when it goes off, I stand up." Let's keep it simple.
Amazing. What a wonderful way to finish. Thank you so much for joining, Jeremy, and sharing such incredible pearls of wisdom with us all. I wish you, Stagekings and ISO King, all the very best in your future endeavors. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you everyone for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and great to chat again, Sarah. And sorry for my name, Stagekings_AU is not there, but that's me.
Yeah, I'll make sure I'll include that in a story afterwards so everyone can access it. I think it's so important for us business owners to connect, share information, and really learn from each other's journeys so that we can share knowledge and maybe help others before they fall into a stumble that we might have, or just share knowledge and share wisdom in a year where we've all faced a lot of challenges. So stay tuned for more live stream episodes of the Adaptables. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world tuning in. Thank you so much for joining us.